All right. Okay, let's see. OBS working. Audio sounds good. What is up, everybody? Not too much going on. I mean, this is September. Before Ben Cohen takes credit for Wake Me Up When September Ends, I'm pretty sure I was talking about that since like 2018, maybe earlier. But to be fair to him and to myself, it's been a known thing for a while because of legacy seasonality. What's up? Dom, Joey, Pedro. Is it time to short NVIDIA? I mean, this might sound crazy, and depending on how the jobs numbers come in tomorrow, I don't think it's over yet. Honestly, here's the hard part. The hard part is you have to guess what the jobs numbers, the unemployment rate, you have to guess what that is, and then you have to guess the range at which the market has X or Y reaction, and it's just, why bother? So people are just waiting for that. If I see another countdown on Twitter about the 10-2 on inversion, I'm gonna puke. Yes, it's getting close. It's actually not inverted yet. It did briefly uninvert, but it looks good. For an uninversion, this is not, the 10-2 is not the curve, the yield curve that the creator of the uninverted yield curve looks at. He looks at the 10-year 3-month. That's not to say this isn't like a warning sign, a problem. Absolutely, that's all an issue. But just because this uninverts also doesn't necessarily mean automatic recession. It just means high likelihood, high probability. It's the rest. What comes after that? Does unemployment, if we get an unemployment print at like 4.8 or something silly, then yeah, the market's going to panic. So you just wait. And see. And we're seeing that in the risk markets. We're seeing that in crypto. BTC is actually down, has been down throughout the day a little bit more than alts. That's come back a bit now, but I don't know. Everything's all over the place. What's up, Ray? But as far as unemployment stuff, that comes out tomorrow at 8:30, I think, right? So that'll be before the market open. Next week is CPI. CPI should be around 255-ish. You've got people saying we shouldn't cut. You've got people saying we shouldn't do a 50. We had no meeting in August, and we have no meeting in October. What's wrong with a 50 this month? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Does the SOM rule and the uninsured employment rate diverging suggest the SOM rule is broken for this cycle? My read on that is two things. One, immigration, and two, severance packages. I don't know, because Doomer DiMartino Booth was talking about this months ago, that when all the tech layoffs happened, these people aren't going to go immediately on unemployment because they get severance packages, they get golden parachutes, they have money on the side. Like, they're not poor, right? They're not destitute. So that would probably play a role in what you're seeing on the data point for insured unemployment rather. But I also think part of that is immigration. If immigration is picking up, like if unemployed immigrants who aren't qualified or don't qualify for unemployment insurance, I don't know how that works. But if that's the case, that's one way you could get the divergence on those numbers. So that's the yield curve. This is the 10-3. The 10-3 looks like this. The 10-3 has a long ways to go before it's literally the opposite of the 10-2. It is not uninverted yet, even close. 10-2 gets all of the headlines for sure. It always has. But Cam Harvey will tell you the 10-3 is where it's at. Definitely not. something to be ignored, but not something to be. These doomer accounts on Twitter, they bubble up in my feed, and it's just nonstop every data point. Which, okay, at least I'll be ready. I'll be informed. I don't know. If you guys want me to look at anything, let me know. Marco on content super helpful. That's good to know. Your thumbnail is looking me in the eyes. What else we got here? Why is there a bear on my screen? Yeah, I mean, it's has any of this been bullish realistically? I'd say at best this has been a neutral, and it clearly has been trending down. Are we in a downtrend? I don't know, but we're trending down, right? We exploded higher. The problem for many people is they were sitting in the wrong thing. Literally this entire way up, they're sitting in alts. And then they see BTC up here and they think, okay, now's my chance. Now's my chance for alts to do well. And then BTC chops for 6 months. Alts just bleeding into oblivion. Yeah, sentiment is bad. Welcome to why we don't hold alts. Welcome to alts are leveraged BTC at best. Wait for momentum. Wait for rates down, liquidity up. You could argue all of this post 2023 was ETF hype pre-halving, as many people have and will. And none of that really involves altcoins, right? That's it. That's the end of the story. So this is still intact, as ugly as this looks now. We want to see higher highs to be certain, and that's kind of it. You know, there's not really much to say on the Bitcoin front. If we go to the 2-day cloud, we want this above the 2-day cloud. So whatever that ends up being, 63, 64, 60, but I would not expect anything in September. We've never done anything in September, most of Q3. We've got the election, you know, it goes on and on and on, all the stuff we've talked about for months and months and months. Nothing's really changed there. There's still uncertainty about the election. There's uncertainty about recession. That's it, you know, that's really all there is. They're using historical data for a certain type of economy that changed drastically in 08. Don't be in the channel chat and not like the video. Yeah, what Infinigeist says. give me a like. 50 would be ridiculous, says Ramo. Ridiculous. Why? They raised 50, 50, 75, 75, 75, whatever, right? Why is 50 ridiculous? Have you seen Trueflation? Have you seen CPI? Again, if a 4 point, let's say it comes in at 4.5 tomorrow or above, at what point is the point where even the people, the macro doomers, are like, okay, now we can bring rates down? Because it sounds to me like they would rather run the economy into the ground and say that they were right, that this was headed for a hard landing all along, than maybe take a little bit off the brakes here. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't really care about the election as far as the meeting is concerned for FOMC. But real rates are what they are. Unemployment is what it is. Inflation is what it is. Nobody believes any of these numbers anyway. That's the thing. We can't agree on anything anymore. Nobody believes in anything. So what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Ramos says 0 chance. 0 chance. Ramo, let me ask you this. Do you think we're headed for a hard landing? What type of landing do you think we're headed for? It's not like the employment data is going to get any better here. What many people have said is we're headed we're in this like K-shaped economy where the top end continues to doing better and better and better. The bottom end continues doing worse, worse, worse. And that makes sense if you're paying interest rates versus getting paid the interest rate. Yeah, how are you going to catch up? How are you going to catch up if you're paying 20% on your credit card? There's just no way. Do I use log scale? I use log scale for everything. Everything always. I just always have. Mainly because I started trading crypto first before legacy. And with crypto, stuff's all over the place volatility wise. So if you're not using log, you're not going to be able to see most of the moves. I find this hilarious, this TIA chart, because you've had a lot of people, and I've asked, show me the hard data that people are using this network for its intended purpose, which is, I don't even know, cross-chain something. I don't know. Somebody can let me know. This is why you don't hold alts when you're not sure that the market is bullish. We can overlay BTC on this. And you know what? I'll take a stab in the dark here and say TIA will bounce when BTC bounces. Oh man, that's crazy. Modularity? Yeah, exactly. Just get rich and stake, bro. Just get rich and collect those airdrops, bro. Just stake it, bro. BQ says bad jobs report was priced in Tuesday. I don't know. You could argue that, but I don't know. It just depends on what the market's going to do. How bad is too bad for jobs, for the unemployment? That's why it's not even worth, to me, trying to figure out what the market's going to do, because I have no clue either way. Like, we can say we think this is going to happen or that's going to happen, but are you going to trade on that information in size? Why? Just wait. Wait for the number, see how the market reacts, go from there. Thoughts on Michael Powell? Michael Powell saying the yield curve. Oh, I absolutely agree, Coop. There's a great chart on this. Let me pull it up. Hold on. I need like a neutral screen just to make sure I don't pull up anything weird, you know? All right. Let me find the chart. There's this argument that we don't issue debt on the short end as much as we have. It's going to pop up. Yeah, okay. We don't issue debt on the short end like we are unless we're in recession. None of this makes any sense. The mix of the long end versus the short end doesn't make any sense. We're going to have to roll this. So we issued on the short end. If we want to normalize this at all, we're going to have to issue to the long end. If we're issuing to the long end, you don't want rates at 5 or 5.25. On the long end, you want rates as low as possible. But by issuing on the short end, which is what this chart is showing, you're keeping the long end artificially low yield-wise, because you got to remember it's supply-demand. So if you keep issuing on the long end, the idea here is that you're going to create a higher yield. So if demand on the long end is static or increasing, yields come down relative to issuance. So this is kind of arguing, like, look, we only do this kind of thing in a recession. And then something else you can look at is like country by country. I don't know the hard data on this, but apparently like emerging markets issue more debt on the short end versus the long end. I'd have to see the data on that, but yeah, not normal what we're doing. Janet and J-Pow talk every day or every week at least, right? And Janet was the head of the Fed at one point, so they know exactly what they're doing. They're not doing this on accident. Just buy the Solana phone. Yeah. Is there a website that tracks the airdrop from the Solana phone? I want to see a chart to see how well it did. Accumulate BTC and chill. I agree. I agree. BTC is the least risky of all the crypto assets, regardless of what you want to think about. Just look at the beta effect or whatever of TIA versus BTC. This is a perfect example. BTC gets a little bit bearish, the momentum cools off a little bit, and alts just collapse. There's just too many. There's not enough dollars to buy all of the unlocks and all of the tokens that are happening every month. And we can go down the list. This will line up with many, many charts. This is ETH versus BTC. Look at this gap. It's huge. There's just not enough people buying ETH relative to BTC. Sol has slowed down quite a bit. Admittedly, it did really well. You know, it's up whatever it's up, but this isn't outperforming BTC here. It's just flat, which is like the best you can ask for, I guess, right now. But it's not like the market generally randomly moves opposite, you know. BTC has to be strong or ranging flat for alts to do well, and BTC has been ranging down. So alts aren't going to do well. That's like, this isn't a secret. It might be a secret if this is your first cycle, but there's just too many alts out there. There's too many tokens. There's not enough dollars to hold this up. This is Link. This is AVAX, right? Everything slowed down the moment BTC went sideways. Everything. Matic, oof. Oof. LTC, dot, near. It's literally everything, right? And this is total 2. This is total 3. This is others. This is the chart that I talk about every Wednesday. This is the BTC pair, right? BTC, yeah, it's down 30%, 20%, whatever it is on any given day from the all-time high. But these alts just look horrific relative to BTC. So it's important to use BTC as home base, and you stray from home when you're certain either momentum is overstretched, it's outstretched, it is so bearish that you're going to get a rubber banding mean reversion effect, or we're just in an upswing, because we can of course dial this back on Sol, and we can look, and it's pretty obvious, at least it should be obvious, that on a percentage basis, if we switch this to percent, same scale, there we go. This is the argument to trade alts at all, which I hear you, I see you, I get it, you know. In certain times, alts do really well, but you have to pay attention to which alts are doing well and when, and you can't just buy and hold this stuff and hope that it goes to infinity. That's not how this works. Again, there are too many alts being released every single day. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. Just the bonk paid for the phone back in December, January. Yeah, but even then I remember hearing people say, I'm gonna buy all these phones, bro, and then I'm just gonna hold on to the bonk. It's just funny. You know, it's just funny. So now we've got year to date, depending on how you want to look at this, right? What are we outperforming? What aren't we outperforming? Over the past year, we are 5x plus S&P, which is huge. Year to date, we are up slightly on the S&P. 5 year, it's not even close. And this is why, to me, like, you just drown out all these people who are anti-BTC. Like, it's just math. Yes, drawdowns are deep. Great. Volatility is high. Great. Welcome to crypto. That's why we crypto. Okay. We know that volatility is going to be high, including upside volatility. But it speaks for itself, you know? Speaks for itself. I gotta admit, Rama, I listened to the 1000X podcasts, but man, some of the stuff I just don't agree with them on. They are more alt oriented than me, especially Avi. I agree with him on the ETH. He's super bearish ETH. I agree with him on that 100%. And it's real simple. You can be bearish ETH until you see activity pick up again. If activity isn't picking up, why? Nobody cares, right? It's that simple. You know, again, everybody's got their viewpoint about every single coin. That's fine. But that's not necessarily going to make you money. Look at the chart. That's all I tell people. Like, look at the chart. How much longer do you want to be wrong? I don't know how much lower ETH BTC goes from here. We talked about there's a harmonic. There is a pitchfork. We can draw that out. Where is it at? The biggest issue is people just don't care as it's falling. And then by the time we're here and it's down 50% from the highs, it's like, oh, what happened? Let me just fix this. Okay. So if you're bullish ETH BTC, you better hope it bounces at this midline because it hasn't lived below the midline yet. And that's the bearish half of the bearish pitchfork. But that's certainly possible. Certainly possible. I think it's too tough to call. This is like the midpoint of the trend. So until you start to see some downward momentum. But that's like 03, 035. There's this level, which seems pretty important. Where is it? There's like this down here. So to me, there's not much downside near term, but if things get turbo bearish, yeah, it's got room to run on the trend for sure. For sure. So for BTC, like I said, range bound. What do we want to see? High time frames above the 2-day cloud, the 3-day cloud. All that stuff is not bullish. The daily cloud, not bullish. 8-hour cloud, not bullish. You can go down the list. It seems like every session, US, Asia, Europe, somebody's always selling and there's not enough people buying. ETFs have been also selling. So what do we have left? You and me, DCA, champions and warriors. That's it. That's it. The 8 hours probably the earliest I would do anything. And that's back at 60 effectively. There's just nothing to do. Not when we're plus or minus 5% for any given reason on any given day in any given time zone. You know, it just that's not a great thing to trade. It's just too tough. Very tough. Very tough. Ice Banana says, am I the only one who sees this as a buying opportunity for ETH BTC? What chart did I pull up? Was it Atom? To me, like, what's the difference between ETH BTC and Atom BTC? Like, seriously, what's the difference? Is the difference just there are more projects on ETH? Like, I couldn't tell you why either one looks like a buy here. This clearly looks worse than ETH BTC, but you just wait, right? You just wait until the chart looks like this, and then you can say, you know what? Let's take a stab. This is TLT. It's that simple. Everybody thinks they can be a hero. That's fine. You want a DCA. I don't care, right? What does it matter to me? It clearly hasn't had any strength, and it's clearly just selling off against BTC. Look at the ETFs. But I can't even say it. But interoperability, that will not save you price-wise. It just won't. There aren't enough people here. There are too many tokens. That's the fundamental reality. If we look at the ETH, I thought this was pretty telling. A lot of people before these ETFs launched said, oh man, there's going to be all this demand for ETH. Guess what? They were wrong. But this graph, cumulative flows since launch, has reached a new all-time low. So why do anything on ETH trading until we start to see this turn around, at the very least? Now, to be fair, this is just GBTC coming out, but there is not enough coming in to offset that. And it tells you all you need to know about the institutional attitude to ETH right now, especially those products. There's just no point. What's up, DZ? Thanks. It's not buyable on technicals. It's only buyable if you want to DCA what you think could be the lows. It's just speculation. Correct. But we've seen downtrends in coins. Dash is another one. I would rather wait for ETH BTC to look like this and be wrong than hope that this is near the bottom down here. That's all. That's all it is. So it depends. I don't know. I can't, this isn't financial advice anyway. I'm not trying to talk you out of a trade. It's just I'm telling you why I'm not trading it. That's all. Sol ETH also looks very strong for Sol here. Just another reason not to trade ETH. Like if you want to trade the fastest horse and you don't care what it is, it's hard to justify ETH. That's all. Hard to justify that. No point, says Karen. I agree. If you're not going to beat the lowest risk vehicle by a wide margin, what's the point? Is regulations, like what around ETH is getting better? Regulations, DeFi, RWA, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people citing those as reasons. I haven't seen a lot of substance. It's a lot of sizzle, no substance that I've seen. So that's why the chart looks like the chart. If this was real, if RWA was real, if all the other stuff was real, then this chart would look different. All right. I don't know. We can talk about anything, but I guess we'll just go down the alts real quick. So ETH back above 3,000. Otherwise, I don't care. As far as like lows, again, down here, why? To me, there's just no reason. Look at any time we bottomed on any chart ever. It's not like it's a surprise, okay? Like it's not like we don't have time in a zone, we don't do something. So to me, this doesn't look bad enough to buy. It doesn't have a reversal pattern. It just doesn't have anything. Trend, it's clearly bearish. And like we said, the ETFs, nobody cares, right? BNB looks okay at 600 to me, but here just sideways, nothing going on. Sol, also nothing going on. You want Sol above 160, above 180. But all of this stuff is not going to turn around until BTC turns around. So again, why? Like why? You know, why bother? Link looks horrible. El horrible. El horrible. It is, you know, there's a world where Link just consolidates back at 5 to 8. Why not, right? Why not? And then we can talk about like some monthly W where Blink goes to 200. You know, that might take 2 years to play out. But like, sure, why not, right? We can get something like this. I guess 100 would be the level. But you are waiting a long, long time for that, if that plays out. So that looks gross. AVAX, awful. Matic, awful. LTC doesn't look like anything. There just doesn't look like, it doesn't look like there's any trades here on alts. On the USD pairs. So you know the BTC pairs are going to look even worse. Near, bad, render, no. These aren't pulling up yet. FET, Ocean. There was one, what was it? Maybe it was ADA. If we go to like Kraken, just like Total 2, there's going to be a day eventually when this starts to look a little better. Falling wedge or whatever. Not just ADA, but in general, Total 2. I don't know if that day's today or tomorrow or next week, but this is clearly a pretty massive falling wedge. I don't know how much deeper it goes. So you could make the argument from a trading perspective. There's always a trade to take. It's whether or not anyone wants to take it. We take a long position. So if I were to take the position today, it would be this. It's just, I have zero faith. I actually had it correct. 50% retrace. I have zero faith in this actually playing out based on current market conditions. That's all. And if you want to be generous, you can say, well, cloud, edge to edge or something. I don't know. I don't see a path for that yet. But we're getting there. We're certainly getting there. Doge, if we go to Kraken, yeah. Doge is similar. A lot of these charts just sold off so heavily. So there's probably a trade coming up, but I don't think it'll happen until Q4. It's just like GME, you know, like we saw this, we've seen this. GME had a falling wedge for 3 years. 1, 2, 3. 3 years. So this stuff can really grind you out for a very long time. So we're not there yet, I don't think. I haven't talked about miners yet. I'll talk about those towards the legacy portion. You know who's bullish ETH? Arthur, but he was saying that on a non-crypto space. It's just simple. I don't want to be the first. I'm not here to guess about where ETH goes. I was bullish ETH back here. I'm sure there's plenty of videos me talking about this. I was bullish ETH here, bullish DK cross, recross, price above cloud. Where else was I bullish ETH? I was bullish ETH somewhere back up here if we got a cup and handle, which we didn't. And that's it. Okay, now you wait. You just wait. You just wait. I don't know what else there is to be bullish about. Any on-chain metric for most of these coins is awful right now. So you can't even say, oh man, there's a divergence here. Look at Google Trends. Let's do that right now. Google Trends for everything is in the dumpster. So there's no eyeballs. No one's using this stuff. you are, it's like I'm fighting chat. I'm fighting chat. I must win. You're just fighting a lack of anybody being here right now, you know? And there's an argument for wanting to buy something when nobody's here, when it's boring, that's fine. But I want to see a little bit of life first. So Google Trends on ETH at 10. It got as low as 7 last year in September. Oh, September, look at that. It got up to 11 in October. Crazy, right? Let's look at last cycle, 2020. We got down to 5 in September. Started curling up in October. So that's a metric to watch, and you can look at Bitcoin for that too. That is, I'm sure, in the dumps, which it is. It's at 19. Last cycle we got down to 16, or last year. 2020 we got down to 11. And Google Trends is, are people searching this? Are there articles being written about this? Clicks, it's all sorts of stuff. So nobody's here. I mean, there are more people here this September than last September and 2020, but we're not seeing any positive momentum here, eyeballs wise. Solana, I'm sure, is the same. Solana's a tough one because isn't there a beach in California? Or am I thinking of something else? Alameda? Or both? Maybe they're both beaches in California, towns in California. I don't know. Solana's something somewhere else in the world. So if it's a real word, you just have to be careful to sort for crypto specific, but it's pretty clear here this didn't exist until 2021 on Google Trends. But even this is quite low, and we can back this out. Custom, we'll go 1/1/2022. And we can compare software. Yeah, so it's going in the wrong direction. We're getting there, but this is what we see in September. This is what we see. Pedro is turbo bearish. Pedro thinks we're going to 30K. He says ETH shows what's coming on BTC. HNT, Aave, Curve, MPL. I mean, we could look at this stuff. I saw yesterday that the Aave creator was selling a bunch of Aave. Always a good sign. Good for him. As an idea in a market where not much else is happening, this is a trade you could take. But do we have tailwinds or headwinds right now? To me, we have headwinds. We have resistance blowing in our face at 10,000 miles per hour, and it's going to be difficult for anything to do well. That doesn't mean this can't do well. Doesn't mean this can't just hold flat, and when things turn around, it does better than everything else. It's just, I don't know, right? If you have a trade to take, if you have a setup that you like, we'll go to Kraken. Sure. It doesn't look horrible. I'll give you that. What is has anybody ever looked at the Aave BTC pair? It's above the cloud. You know, it looks okay. It looks okay. It's just, it's not easy mode right now, you know? So are you just looking for something to trade? Or do you genuinely think this will do well? I don't know, right? But yes, this is one chart out of 10,000 that looks pretty decent. Monero's another one I talked about yesterday. It also looks okay. It looks okay. But if I have to put my money anywhere, if I had to pick something, it's not going to be crypto right now. It's just not. It's going to be, like I've talked about for a while, TLT, AG, not HYG, SHI, just like treasuries, bonds, just to hide out in the near term. Anything that isn't crypto. You got me bored out of my mind looking for a trade, and that's okay. I would just size this down. Like if you want to trade Aave, size it down and keep going back to that. You could say whatever this might be, you're looking for a 2x basically, right? That's a decent trade. I don't know what time frame that's going to happen, but it's out there. It's an option. HNT says Turk. HNT. Sure. Looks like we identified an inverted head and shoulders a while back. It looks better than most things. It certainly looks better than ETH. And if we go Aave ETH, that also looks really good. Relative to ETH, I wouldn't use the weakest horse as a benchmark, you know? So I wouldn't measure everything against ETH, but if that's your choice, if it's Aave or ETH, Aave or Sol, then yeah, sure, whatever. But this clearly doesn't favor ETH. This favors Aave. HNT Sol, is that a pair? We can make it. We have the technology. HNT Sol doesn't quite look as compelling. It's a level there at 0.09. Could always just set an alert for that level. It's hard for the beta stuff to do well or outperform when the layer 1 isn't looking strong, right? It's the same reason why meme coins have just sort of floundered and done nothing for a long time here. Just what, right? Like nothing. Just down. Rune, we looked at briefly. There are a few alts on the USD pairs that do have this potential for like a diamond or inverted head and shoulders or something. But that doesn't confirm until you're back at the resistance. So to me, there's not a trade yet, but that's what I'd be looking for on Rune. Rune also had this huge head and shoulders, and that target is still lower, sub 250. But if we're like stacking these up against each other, Rune looks decent compared to like ADA or Filecoin. You know, like there's stuff that looks better, that looks worse. Nothing really looks amazing. Nothing really looks amazing. What cloud settings would you use for futures? EGES. I would use 1852 104 26. Cell frame. What's the ticker for that? Massage gun. What's the ticker for that? Can I pull that up? Is it sell? So this as well had, like everything, right? Everything is correlated, especially in a bear market. especially when things are going down. Head and shoulders. It hit the target. It's flattened out. Does it look great down here? I don't think it looks great. But look how long it took to break out. So you're kind of saying like we're here potentially on this chart. So I wouldn't touch it until there's some more evidence that this is trying to bottom. To me. And then you can say, you know, why do I like this one versus all the other charts? If we add whiff, I see, so that's why. So whiff underperformed by like 1,000%. If that's, is that right? Might be right. What would have not? Is it SHIB? Let's try SHIB. So SHIB also. So it looks like this one had a huge bubble. Huge. If it's outperformed meme coins by 1,000%, I mean, that's insane. That's insane. The tough part about this, charts like this, is people just assume, not saying this is you, but just in general, they're like, oh, this happened twice, it's going to happen again. And then it gets delisted. And you're like, well, I guess not. I guess I was wrong. But I would want to see some momentum on that first before I liked it. XTZ. I was a little shocked that no one had ever asked me about that chart, and yet it outperformed meme coins, I believe, based on percent moves. I gotta be honest with Tezos. I don't know why people still pay attention to Tezos. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I just couldn't give you a single reason. I'm sure there are reasons. I just don't have one. It's just math. You know, again, you can love a project and what it stands for without buying the tokens. That's where you get trapped. You become a community member. I'm not saying this is you, Boom Draw. But what a chart. This thing is down since 2020, down 97% against BTC. Bearish the whole time on the cloud. Certainly not bullish here. So especially on anything that looks like this, and that's why I go back to the TLT chart, because TLT gets a ton of crap. This is the long bond ETF. TLT gets so much crap for, like I said in the open, we're going to have to issue on the long end. Rates can only go so low. Nobody's buying this anymore, right? We can say all that stuff. All that stuff is true. But this is why I look at technicals over anything else, because all I care about is, okay, is this downtrend potentially ending or not? So until Tezos looks like this, then I'll start to care about it against BTC. PayPal's another one, right? Like PayPal straight down for years, finally bottoms out. I don't know where this is going. I don't really care, but this to me looks like a much better place to buy than any point back here. So for alts, it's just too early. It's just too early. Good tokenomics on Tezos? They would have to be burning tokens like nobody's business, and that would bring it towards security land in my eyes. I'm not a lawyer. Tezos is dead money. Thank you, Tristan. Thank you. All right. I'll just read in chat. Is there anything else? So for leveraged crypto, we'll switch over to legacy cloud here. MSTR doesn't look good on the daily. This is basically Solana, right? Now, if you were to tell me, if you had a time machine and you were to tell me in the next month MSTR would be sub 100, I would say, you know what, that's believable because it's below the cloud. Trend metrics are already leaning bearish, so that wouldn't surprise me. So I do not like this as a buy here until it's back above trend metrics. It also still has this, which it's a head and shoulders basically, right? Not saying anybody's bullish on MSTR. I liked MSTR up here much more when it was kind of ascending triangle-y. But down here, you should expect terrible things to happen. It's just not in a place that trend is on its side. Where's the 200-day on this? So it's almost back to the 200-day. It's, you know, it's just, it's mean reverted. But I'm not here to stick around and find out whether or not this thing can bounce. I'd rather wait for 150. 150, love it at 150. I couldn't love another chart more, but at 122, no. BitX looks atrocious. You do have to maybe pay attention to the dividend side of things because there's adjustments, it's futures, blah, blah, blah. It just still, there's no reason. There's no justification on trend to hold this here. There's not a pattern, there's not anything. It's just not there. Not early if you already have bags and buying all the dips. Yeah, just keep buying the dips, guys. All right. What other? Coin is another one. So there were a lot of these charts. CleanSpark's another one. Consolidated in or above the cloud for months and then broke down. Okay, there's your answer. Bearish. Yeah, we can go to SMCI. Same story. Bad things happen below the cloud. The moment this broke out down, out of the cloud, I was out of the position I was holding. And that's it. You don't look back. It's not like, oh man, coin, ETFs, custody, base, whatever. It just doesn't matter. It just flat out doesn't matter. It might bounce to 200 tomorrow. I wouldn't care. I would want to see strength. This has been nothing but selling. Nothing but selling. The weekly must look atrocious. Monthly, atrocious. So those look real bad. MSTR, BitX. It's just not the time. What else we got? But if, like some people are saying in chat, if you are DCAing into some of this stuff with the assumption that the economy's not going to go down the drain, they're going to save it in some way, it's an election year, both sides are going to print money, yeah, sure, you know, but I wouldn't expect anything in the near term. These charts are not bullish. They're just not. They're just not bullish at all. SMLR, poor man's MSTR, also at the bottom of the range here. That is not something I want to stick around and find out if it can hold 20, you know? It's just not it. Square, same thing, just needs time. Not as bearish as SMLR, but it's got to look like, for me, it's got to look like PayPal. It's got to be making higher highs. The company doesn't matter. What matters is price action. You can spew narratives to boom. What truly matters at the end is whether or not the Fed is pivoting liquidity. Only thing that matters, says biggest of the coins. Well, they are pivoting. Jay said as much. He, by decree, said we are cutting. It's going to be interesting if we get a vote from the FOMC that reveals there are some disagreements with cutting now or not. But he said they're cutting. That's where I'm at. I personally don't think 50 is bearish. Now, there are people in the chat like Ramo who think 50 is never going to happen. If there was a meeting in December or there was a meeting in August and we're cutting 50 now, yeah, that's probably a problem. But if you remember last meeting, Jackson Hole, basically, not a meeting, but we got unemployment data. Was it the day after the meeting or something? I don't know. Something was really weird on the calendar. And everybody just assumed the Fed is now behind. Unemployment's ticking up. Yeah, Eduardo, I looked at HNT. It looks okay. The general rule here, like I said with Aave, if the market as a whole was doing better, I'd be a little bit more optimistic. But it's not, you know. It's just harder for this stuff to do well if everything else isn't doing well. It's not that this can't do well on its own, but you know. So look, if you like it, yeah. TA says sure. It's above the cloud. It is beating ETH. It's beating a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it consolidated, came back, looks okay. We're on up to... So we've got the Michael Howell sock in the chat. I've got a chart just for you, which I agree. Most of the reason we did anything outside of the ETFs, outside of halving, was because the reverse repo was spewing 2 trillion into circulation. This is a complex chart, I guess, but all it's looking at is total liquidity in various different ways. BTFP in the purple, you can see when SVB blew up, BTC got more bullish, ETF applications more bullish, approvals more bullish, green, reverse repo, draining, things got more bullish. Reverse repo's down to 291, I think. It's at cycle lows or close to it, which is another reason why the Fed is probably going to cut. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree and say liquidity doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but it was a constellation of things. This is why Bitcoin did well despite rates being as high as they are and real rates being as high as they are, and the cycle, right? The liquidity is king, obviously. So that's definitely there. And it's the same for alts. But we need rates back down for the risky stuff to do better. So yes, RRP, very important. What else are we talking about on the legacy side? I guess we'll talk about miners. Miners, I mean, what can you say that hasn't already been said, you know? Thanks, Bittist. What can you say about the miners that hasn't already been said? If we take the cloud off, it's been up chop-ish on the WGMI, the index effectively for the industry. Some of these charts on their own look bad, but relative to WGMI even look bad. And WGMI looks like junk here, unfortunately. Marathon at the lows, head and shouldery. You know, this is every chart right now, right? You've got this 3 peaks, a smaller peak, back at support. This is not a place where I want to be in a trade. This measures to 750. It's a 50%. 50% move lower. It's already below the daily cloud. It's been below the daily for a while. It failed to break out and it's just going nowhere. My issue with the miners, my biggest issue, is they do a lot of dumb stuff as a business fundamentally. So if there is not a reason to hold them, price-wise, like if there's not a technical reason, they don't have fees, hash price is at an all-time low, there's just very little reason to hold on to them here. So like the alts, show me something, anything that says, hey, this looks like a buy here. This is literally in free fall. Okay, I'm not gonna catch that knife. No thanks. Riot, same thing, bottom of the range. Again, I don't care if they bounce to infinity tomorrow. Right now, they do not look good. IREN basically looks like WGMI. Not terrible, but not amazing. Cores is hands down one of the better looking miners. It's not making lows, it's holding the range. It's less mining, more AI, more utility-ish, power center, data center, right? So that's why, to me, it looks different than the rest. Cypher, awful. Bitfarms, also not great, bottom of the range. The inverted head and shoulders dream is dashed. Hut, also not here. You know, you buy the breakout, you don't buy the shoulder hoping it's a shoulder. None of these miners look good. They just don't. And you really shouldn't expect them to look like anything if there's no fundamental reason, there's no price reason. Hive, terrible. Wolf, I would want to see this back above like 5 to care. Because you don't want to be there on the swing lower, you know? Like, yeah, again, this could be the bottom, I don't know. But if it's not, this thing's going deep along with everything else. Stronghold, I thought they got acquired, right? So well, at least you know, that deal is probably being finalized or whatever. Gree, almost at all-time lows, I think. Not great. I like it at 750, not at $1.70. BT, Chop, not much going on there. Canaan, Chop, nothing going on. So no pattern, no breakout potential, not ready to turn, no reversals. I just don't see it. Fufu looks like poo-poo. How about that? Just gotta wait for the stock drop, rate drop, then QE. Yeah, back to what we were talking about with the Fed. I'll be super curious what they say on the 18th in regards to QT versus QE. Are they going to continue QT despite bringing rates lower? They don't have to ramp up QE immediately, but it's like those are cross currents, you know. QT is the opposite of bringing rates down. If you're a Ben Cohen fan, we need more money in the system to start the afterburners. Yeah, I agree, Rainey. Bianco has said that for months. Howell also in a similar vein, that we are on an upswing for liquidity. I think that's all in the crypto related legacy. All right, let's go full mag 7. So despite this failing, this is still on the table. But it's not a trade here. It's just something to watch. It would be 125-ish. If we can get back to 125, which sounds like a miracle, where NVIDIA is now. And I can bring the alert down. But this is trading, folks. This is trading. The daily is also very confused because it's got a bullish TK cross with price below cloud. You almost never see that. Almost never. I don't know the last time I've seen that. That's how volatile this is. So does the cloud think this is bearish? Not yet. Not on the daily. Not on the daily. And I'm not even hoping for this. I hope NVIDIA doesn't do anything because then Bitcoin can do better. But it's something to watch on NVIDIA. Apple, I don't know. I haven't been a fan of this chart for a long time. I don't know what you do with this up here. I don't understand the AI phone argument as somebody who doesn't care about using their phone for AI. I just don't care. Mustafa says 75 on NVIDIA. Yeah, let's look at the bear case. The bear case would be... The bear case. You want to get bearish? I mean, 75 is close. This is the bear case. We're just measuring the range lower instead of higher. That's the bear case. But yeah, this doesn't look good yet, but it could. It has a chance. Now, SMH, the semiconductor ETF, doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. So to me, semis as a whole, not the place to be. Mag 7 on balance, not the place to be. Tesla, which I'll get to in a second, still has that head and shoulder, inverted head and shoulders that we talked about last week. This is Microsoft, and you really got to hope it's not potentially this or whatever. It's, you know, it doesn't look ready to break down if it's going to break down, but it's certainly not bullish. Certainly not bullish. Amazon, kind of the same, just in the middle, not really doing much. I don't really see a trade there. Meta looks good on high time frames still. Still looks good. Looks better than nearly everything. It's Meta, but it looks really, really good. It's still just grinding out this consolidation up here. Google to me here looks like an inverted cup and handle. So this would measure $140, sub 140. I just don't know as a group, like let's say NVIDIA goes back to 125. Can Google go below 140? If NVIDIA goes to 75, can Tesla go to 270? I don't know. But this is a trade I should have taken. I just didn't. Should have taken it. I talked about it last week, Sunday. Talked about it this week, Sunday, I think. Pedro says Nvidia is doomed. See, this is why it has a chance. If it gets back to 125, there's still people who think it's overvalued. I'm going to short it, puts, whatever. That's fine. Trade it. Do whatever you want to do. But it's possible. It still does well. It's, it's still possible. Phones are used for pornography, not AI. Says Joey. Thanks for that, Joey. This is the Head and Shoulders inverted on Tesla. Looks very good on low time frames. And I don't know. I don't know if this can really, similar to like Aave and Helium versus the rest of the crypto market. Can Tesla really outperform the rest of the market? Is this a Trump trade? Is this going to do better with Trump doing better in the polls? Especially if I look at Lucid versus Tesla, EV companies on the side of the winning or the currently front runner candidate, I don't know. This looks a lot like Aave to me, Lucid. KWeb I was ready to cut last week. And I said, okay, lower lows and we're out. So we haven't hit lower lows yet, but this it's just going nowhere. It hit 33 and then pulled all the way back. So it doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. Just no reason to sit in this for any more time than I already have if it's not going anywhere. Toast looks okay. Flat. Fintech. Intel. I would avoid this one. Just, there's just other stuff to trade to the long side and the short side. I think news in either direction could send this to wherever, I just don't think it's worth trading. Uber on the daily, still back up here at the cloud. Looks okay. We could see this like not as deep of a right shoulder here, but I like that it's hanging out back at 73 again. To me, that is appealing, and it looks better below 70 as long as it can hold itself above the cloud. It looks really good. There was a few other. Hood, I think I skipped. I have it somewhere. Hood I owned for a long time. Don't own it anymore. Up here, you just have to be careful of Head and Shoulders up here. It's mixed on the cloud. It had a crazy move from 8. So I think it needs some time to consolidate. PLTR, the crowd favorite. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. And just the issue is like, where does this go? What does your trailing stop loss look like? Do you care? What's your target? Definitely a different conversation than anything we've talked about on the stream so far. Do I have fractals? I do. So if we go to the daily fractals, the daily trailing stop loss fractals, not helpful at all. They've been super noisy. I think because this range is so crazy that the trailing stop losses are just not going to help. They're not going to help. So I don't know. Where could this go? It still has the div. I would be more concerned with the rising wedge possibility than I don't know. I would hold a tight stop loss on this if I was trading it up here, which would be, I don't know. It's just tough. It's tough because it's so rangy. 29? It depends where you got in this, how long you've been in this. I would almost rather set a stop loss at 29 and see what happens at the bottom of the range than like stick around and find out and hope it bounces. Just because it's, the div on this has been, is it over a year now? Yeah, over a year. Every higher high it's made has just been on lower momentum. So I'd just be worried about that. All right, the rest of, what haven't we looked at? S&P, I think it looks fine. I think it looks fine. I like that everybody's getting turbo bearish and recessionary calls. Like, we'll see that on the chart if that's the case. We'll see it tomorrow with the jobs numbers. Like, we'll find out, does the market think a 50 is panic or not? If the unemployment rate spikes too high. But there's a world where this could go back to 5,600 and we go to 6,000. Perfectly possible. Qs look a little worse than NASDAQ or S&P. Just kind of range bound here. IWM also range bound. I like it back at 220. So we're just kind of waiting, still waiting for the jobs data. TNA, somebody asked me about this. I'm still sitting in this until we hit 35. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And we'll know pretty quick, like tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow how bad the data is. LabU, same thing. I like a stop loss at 111. I'm willing to give this a little time just because it's been here for 2-3 years. Same thing with TNA. It's been here for a long time. So yeah, I like those stop loss levels. DJI, I don't think there's anything to do here. Kind of looks rising wedgy. Bear div. DXY. Pulled back up from 100, down again. This is going to move tomorrow with the jobs data. So all this analysis is kind of pointless until we see what the jobs data is, see if the 50 cut or 25 crystallizes, and then we go from there. TLT still looks good. The bonds, the treasuries, those all look really good to me. Ag looks great. Sorry, that was with dividend, but still, TLT looks good. Ag looks good. Shy looks great. There are no alts that look like this, by the way. HYG, high yield junk bonds, fine. TYD, this is leveraged. 10-year, looks good. This is what you want to see. This is exactly what you want to see. Print this out, put it on the wall behind you. Every time you wake up, you say, this is what I want to see on my altcoins. You want to see a higher high above a high time frame cloud. Men want one thing. They want a higher high. So this chart looks good. That's why I like these charts. TMF, same thing. Leverage 20-year, looks good. looks really good. Costco, just kind of, I don't know, just nothing. Doesn't look like much of anything down here. Pfizer, my beloved Pfizer. I think I've got to cut this at 27, which is, we'll say 27.79. You don't want this making lower lows below the cloud. If because if this was going to pull up, it would have held those levels, and it's had fake outs before. So I've got to be careful with this one if it turns lower below the cloud there. Merck, error saving alert. Create. Merck. Nothing to really talk about there. Stellantis. I like Stellantis as a case study for what to look for on alts. Again, it's very similar. Doesn't really matter what this is, but this is a car company, Chrysler. Why isn't it saving my... Do I have too many alerts? Is that why? Alert saving failed. I'll have to come back to that. So this is down over 50%, I think, from the highs. So it was at one point. And this is kind of what a lot of alts look like. It's like, sure, they're oversold. The fundamental news is terrible. Nobody's here. Nobody cares. Last time this was down here, it took a year to bottom out. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. Definitely not a buy, but just interesting how terrible that turned lower. Roblox, I'm in a long on this one. I'm in calls on this one. I think this is one of the better looking charts. Same reason as everything else. It's making higher highs. It's trying to make a new high. It's at resistance. I don't know. Roblox, sorry. Roblox. It looks good. This is what you want to see. Newegg also just kind of on my watch list. Really done nothing for a few years here. If this starts to make higher highs, maybe something to think about. Commodities, and then we'll take requests and we get out of here. Gold looks fine. It's just a relative value conversation, volatility and risk appetite. It looks okay. It's certainly got a bear div up here, but you know, is that really going to matter? I don't know. It looks fine. Silver, just sad, pathetic sideways. Oil briefly, deeply below 70. Pulled up a little bit, but this looks like it's pricing in a global recession to me. It's pricing in weakening demand, increasing supply. This does not look bullish at all, right? Awful. Bearish, which is good for the inflation conversation. It's good for people who pay for gas, oil, that sort of thing. Netflix, someone's asking me about. It's like Palantir, it's just up and to the right forever. I don't know. I don't have anything really to say about it. It looks okay, right? The cloud has a very hard time with charts like this because of the range is so wide, you know? Even on like the 2-day, I guess you look at it on the 2-day, looks fine. Looks fine. I think that's it, right? Copper looks like junk. Palladium, platinum, not great. Not too many exciting charts out there. That's why when I see stuff like TLT or Roblox, I get excited because there's really not much. Very slim pickings right now. Very slim pickings. Puts worthy on oil. I don't think it could ever trade oil just because it's so much noise. There's so much OPEC crap all the time. But this is not a chart that is bullish at all. Yeah, I looked at TLT a couple times. I think it looks great. It's one of the better looking charts out there for sure. Hands down. I'm a proud TLT enjoyer. Have been for quite some time. Do I ever day trade? And are the ET strategies good for it? I don't really day trade. I'm more of a swing trader or multi-day trader. Lower time frames are tough for anything. Trend metric wise. But if the market is moving, then, you know, you saw me probably look at Tesla on the 4 hour. Where is it at? Tesla. Tesla on the 4 hour. Like I said, I should have taken this trade. I talked about it. That's, to me, a 4 hour is a low time frame. I don't know about you, but the cloud was dead on. The pattern was dead on. We can turn on the line chart. It's definitely there. Looks good. They magically had some sort of news with full self-driving and robo-taxis, right? It doesn't ever matter what the catalysts are. It's just that the chart was ready to go for positive news, and that's probably what helped with the breakout. Puts on Netflix? I don't know. Like, do you really want puts on something with an all-time high? I guess with any trade, you just say, here's my stop loss. My stop loss is all-time highs. My target, I don't know what you could really sincerely say is a target. Maybe this weekly Kijun at 530. But you could say this is your trade. You'd be really happy to see if this plays out as a head and shoulders with like a diagonal neckline here. You'd be happy to see that. But yeah, you could chart this with a tight stop, I guess. Yeah. One other thing to watch for would be down the line. We're talking like 2025, end of the year. Some sort of cup and handle on this with a handle yet to be formed somewhere. So you'd be short on the handle effectively. PSNY. Polestar. Yeah. Doesn't look amazing, but it has the W double bottom down there. Doesn't look horrible. This was one I randomly looked at. Was it this Sunday? Last Sunday? EVAV. It is leveraged EV ETF. I think it has Polestar. Yeah, it has Polestar in it. It's also got like this falling wedge thing. It may break out of the cloud. I've got an alert all the way down there. So yeah, that's a trade, right? Not yet. I don't think, but we're getting there on stuff that looks like this. I mean, this is down. How much is this down? 95%. 95% since inception, just straight down. Part of this is because it's leveraged, but Yeah, why not? Something to watch, you know? Something to watch. Do I trade futures? Seems to be the only way to short crypto. Do you have a method for generating names to review opportunities? So you can use a screener. Part of that is why I'm streaming. You guys are my screener. You guys are my screener of random stuff to look at, like Roblox and what else did somebody mention that I've taken trades on? I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff people tell me to look at. But there is a screener in TradingView that you can use for sure. I won't pull it up right now, but you can find it on the homepage in TradingView. When are China miners going to stop selling at night? Yeah, good question, Dom. I don't know. I think that's it for today. Anybody got any last minute things they want me to look at before we get out of here and bounce? We still like PayPal? Yeah, I like PayPal a lot, Dom. I like any chart that looks like this. I don't know where this goes, but it did the thing. It did the thing that very few companies can on a chart. Zoom is almost there. Zoom trying to break out. Not quite. Not quite. Peloton also not quite. Trying. The distro is done for Mt. Gox, but I don't know what the selling looks like. Just because they've been sent out to people doesn't mean they're not still selling, right? I don't know. But I think the distribution's done. IONQ. I don't really see anything constructive. Similar to TLT and all that other stuff we were looking at, that I like. You're waiting for anything up here to me. I like stuff that makes a higher high above the cloud, because then it says, hey, momentum is back on your side. Look at the last time it did that down here. It's just, if you see this stuff over and over and over again, it's not about this. It's not about what happened. It's about what does it look like that could happen. That's why TA gets such a bad rap. It's like, you're trying to predict the markets. You think you know the markets are going to go here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that at all. I just know that I want to see the chart look a certain way that suggests things might look better. Sincere thanks for all the content. It's be consistently profitable. Good to hear, Aaron. Love that. Absolutely love that. Honestly, most of the cloud is just telling you not to do anything most of the time, you know? Most of the time it's just like you're looking for very specific things. Very specific things. And if you don't see that, you don't do anything at all. Win alt season? I'll tell you. Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready. You think you're ready. I don't think you're ready. You know all that stuff we were talking about with the cloud? I want to see that on total 2 BTC. Not even close. Not even close to that. This chart looks so ready for new lows. This chart looks horrible. Now what we may see on total 2 is, I don't know, something like this. But we are so far out from seeing that. We're talking like Q2 2025. And I've said this a couple times, like if you want to hold alts, if you want to DCA alts, go for it. I'm not going to stop you, but I wouldn't expect anything amazing until this chart specifically is above the cloud. Compare this to everything we just looked at that I liked, and it's not even close. Is there like a falling wedge or something down here maybe? No, it's breaking below that even. There's just nothing you can even pretend that's bullish about this chart. So that's what you're waiting for. All right, last one, VNQ, Vanguard Real Estate. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's bullish for sure. It looks like the other stuff that I like for the same reasons. I'm just trying to figure out how to draw this. I guess you could say neckline here, and you could say this to here. So your target is up here. Current stop loss 88 probably, but it looks good. If we adjust it for the dividend, it's looks even better. But yeah, looks great, right? Looks great. All right, I think that's all we got for today. Give me a like, dislike, comment, TLDR. Nothing really looks amazing outside of bonds, this thing, maybe helium, maybe Aave. We want BTC back above 60. Miners look like junk. Most alts look like junk. Most of tech looks like junk. Tesla an exception. Tesla looks okay. Roblox looks okay. Uber looks okay. Anything else? Nvidia inverted head and shoulders 125 to watch for throughout the rest of the month. I think that's it, right? Needs more time. Needs more time. All right. Good talking with everybody. See you next time. Setup Sunday. A few days away. Take care.